All right, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about texture and value. We are going to start off with the element texture. Now, texture is two things. It is the actual texture that something can have. So, like with this picture of Falling Water by Frank Lloyd Wright, we have actual rocks. We've got actual concrete up here. So that is something that we know how it feels because we've touched it before. So you can look at it, you can, in the actual object, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can see it. Same with these pots here. So you've got something that's very smooth. You can tell because of, it's a ceramic vessel, so we've all touched a coffee mug at some point. This here is a wicker basket, and you can see that it has actual ridges in it. So you could imagine running your hand along that and feeling the actual texture. So again, this is an actual object that you can touch. And the other way to look at it is perceived texture. So this is a Norman Rockwell painting called Freedom of Speech in Saturday Evening Post. You can see in here that it's a painting, so it's not actually a real object, but we can look at it and we can notice that it has texture, or what we would perceive to be texture because of the way that the shading is done with the leather jacket. We've come into contact with leather, whether it be a jacket or a purse or a seat in a car or an article of clothing, so we know how this feels. Okay, we can't actually touch it because it's a painting, but we can tell. We can tell that it's soft just by the way that it's shaded. Also, we can look at the old guy sitting next to him looking up. He's got a very wrinkly face. We've all got grandparents or great-grandparents, or we've seen older people. We know that skin is very soft, and we can tell the wrinkles. So you can look at that person and you can tell that there is a perceived texture there. It's something that we can imagine. Okay. The next thing that we're going to look at is value. Now with value, that is the lightness or darkness of a color. So this is Thomas Hart Benton. It's called The Sources of Country Music. You can see we have a lot of different values here within the color itself. So we've got a blue that's had white added to it. And you can go all the way darker here. Same with the jeans over here. We've got very light all the way to dark. So it is the range of values from light to dark. To make it light, we add white to it. That's called a tint. To make it dark, we add black to it, and that's called a shade. So you can see with this, it's very colorful. There's a wide variety of values here. Now, with this, it is a photograph, so we're dealing with just black and white. It's a photo by Dorothea Lange. It's called The Migrant Mother. With this, you can tell that it's a mother that is holding on to her 3 children. So we got 1, 2, 3. There's a little baby down here. And we can kind of see that the values are very soft. It's very gradual, but there are very darks, and there are within her hair and some of the shadows, and there are some areas that are very light. Okay, now let's contrast that to this image here. Okay, we have basically the same image. You've got a mom holding on to her 3 kids, but the way that the value is applied is very, very different. Okay, this is cross-hatched. Okay, so which automatically gives it a little bit rougher feel to it, a little more harsh experience. And with this, you've got really dark darks here that kind of really bring out the emotion. And that's what a lot of value can do when you shade it correctly. It can bring out the emotion within an image. Okay, if this image was a photograph taken like this here, okay, it would be a very different image. But you can compare them. You can see just very similar imagery, but the way that the value is applied is very different. Okay, so all the ways to apply value can be stippling. We're using dots to create the value. The closer they are together, the darker it's going to be, and the further apart they are, it's lighter it's going to be. So this is cross hatching, where you have lines that overlap like this, or you can have hatching where lines run parallel to each other, or you can do just a general gradation value shading, which is what most people are used to. All right, so that is texture and value, 2 elements of art.